Constantinople, August 14th, 1479. Bernardo Baroncelli wakes to cold steel against his throat. He's been running for 16 months, changed his name 3 times, paid fortunes in bribes, crossed 5,000 kilometers, hid in the most distant city in Christendom, and still, they found him. 6 men surround his bed, Ottoman guards, silent, professional. One of them holds a piece of paper, a drawing. Baroncelli's face. Beneath it, 3 words in Italian. Wanted, dead or alive, and a number. That makes Baroncelli's stomach drop. 300 ducats. That's enough money to buy a palace, to retire for life, to feed a family for 20 years. Lorenzo de' Medici is offering 300 ducats for the man who killed his brother. And in this moment, lying in a rented room in the Galata district of Constantinople, Baroncelli realizes something he should have understood 16 months ago. You can't run far enough. You can't hide deep enough. Not from the Medici, not from Lorenzo. Because Lorenzo de' Medici made a promise on the steps of Florence Cathedral, surrounded by his brother's blood. Every man who held a knife will pay, no matter where they hide, no matter how long it takes. And Lorenzo never breaks promises. This is the story of the greatest manhunt of the 15th century, an 18-month chase that crossed the Mediterranean, a fugitive who almost escaped, a banker who became a spy master, and a revenge so complete that it proved one thing beyond doubt. The Medici. Reach is longer than any border. The Medici memory is longer than any life, and the Medici never, ever forgive. For the next 35 minutes, you're going to discover how Lorenzo de' Medici transformed his banking empire into a continental intelligence network, how he used money, diplomacy, and ruthless determination to hunt down a single man across 3 continents, how he convinced an Ottoman sultan to betray one of his own residents, and how he proved that in the Renaissance, money was more powerful than armies. This is a story about power, about revenge, about the moment the Medici family proved that crossing them meant there was nowhere on earth you could hide. This is the hunt that changed everything. April 26th, 1478. 11:30 in the morning, 4 hours after the assassination. Bernardo Baroncelli is running through the streets of Florence, and he knows he's already dead. He can hear the screams behind him. Palle! Palle! The Medici battle cry. The mob is hunting. Anyone connected to the Pazzi family, anyone who was in the cathedral, anyone who held a weapon. Baroncelli's hands are still shaking, still covered in dried blood, Giuliano de' Medici's blood. He stabbed him first. The dagger went into Giuliano's back, between the ribs, straight into the lung. He remembers the sound Giuliano made, a wet gasp. Surprise more than pain. Then Francesco de' Pazzi was on Giuliano like a madman, stabbing again and again, 19 times total. Baroncelli had stepped back, horrified. He'd killed before, duels, bar fights. But this was different. This was butchery. And now, Lorenzo survived. The plan failed. Francesco de' Pazzi is probably already dead, hanged from the palazzo window. The archbishop, the priests, everyone involved, dead or dying. Baroncelli has one advantage. He wasn't supposed to be the killer. He was hired muscle, a gambler with debts, desperate enough to take Pazzi money and ask no questions. Most Florentines don't know his name, yet. But they will. Lorenzo will make sure of that. So Baroncelli runs. He has a horse stabled outside the city walls, 20 gold florins hidden in his boot, and a plan. Get to the coast, find a ship, disappear. By sunset, he's 50 kilometers from Florence. By midnight, he's in Pisa. 3 days later, he boards a merchant galley heading east. Destination: anywhere Lorenzo de' Medici isn't. He thinks he's escaped. He hasn't. Because at that exact moment, in a blood-stained office in the Palazzo Medici, Lorenzo is writing letters. Not to soldiers, not to mercenaries, to bankers. Before we continue with this incredible chase across 3 continents, a quick request. If you're enjoying this story so far and want more people to discover these fascinating true historical manhunts, help the channel grow by hitting the like button. It genuinely makes a huge difference in getting this content out to more history lovers like you. And if you want more deep dives into Renaissance revenge, political, intrigue, conspiracies, and the darker side of history that they don't teach in school, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I make videos exactly like this every single week, diving into the stories that deserve to be told. Your support means everything and allows me to keep researching and creating these detailed historical narratives. All right, now let's get back to May 1478, Florence, where Lorenzo de' Medici is about to turn his banking empire into the medieval world's most effective intelligence network. May 1478. Florence. Lorenzo de' Medici sits at his desk, his wounded shoulder still bandaged. In front of him a list. Every person involved in the conspiracy, dead or alive, known or suspected. Most are already crossed out, hanged, executed, butchered by mobs, but one name remains, Bernardo Baroncelli. Lorenzo circles it. His advisors tell him to let it go. Baroncelli is gone, fled, probably drowned at sea or killed by bandits. Lorenzo doesn't care. I want him. Found, Lorenzo says quietly. I don't care if he's in France, in Spain, in Africa. I want him found. His secretary hesitates. My lord, we don't have soldiers outside Tuscany. We can't send armies to search. Lorenzo smiles. It's not a pleasant smile. We don't need armies, he says. We have something better. He picks up his pen and begins writing. Letters, dozens of them, to Tommaso Portinari in Bruges, to the Medici branch in Lyon, to Francesco Sassetti in Geneva, to agents in Venice, Milan, Rome, Naples. The Medici Bank has branches across Europe, hundreds of employees, thousands of contacts, merchants, sailors, innkeepers, port officials, everyone who deals with Medici money. Lorenzo is about to turn his banking network into an intelligence operation, a medieval CIA. Send word to every branch, Lorenzo writes to Portinari. 300 ducats reward for Bernardo Baroncelli, dead or alive. Description attached. Spread the word to every port, every market, every customs. House. 300 ducats. A fortune. Enough to make every sailor, every merchant, every beggar in Europe start looking. Lorenzo seals the letters with his personal ring. The Medici banking network spans from London to Constantinople. Over 40 branches, thousands of employees and associates. And now, every single one of them has one additional job. Find Bernardo Baroncelli. The hunt begins. Within 2 weeks, Lorenzo's letters reach every major Medici office in Europe. Tommaso Portinari in Bruges receives his copy and immediately understands what Lorenzo is asking. This isn't just about revenge. This is about sending a message. Cross the Medicis, and we will find you. No matter where you run, no matter how long it takes. Portinari begins organizing the operation with the precision of a military campaign. He creates a detailed description of Baroncelli. Age, height, physical features, speech patterns, habits. He has copies made and distributed to every portmaster, every customs official, every merchant guild from England to Greece. He offers additional bounties for confirmed sightings. 10 ducats for information, 50 for a location, 300 for capture. The Medici network becomes a continent-wide surveillance system. And it works. June 1478, somewhere in the Adriatic Sea. Baroncelli stands at the railing of a Venetian merchant ship, watching the Italian coastline disappear. He's grown a beard, cut his hair short, changed his name to Bernardo Bandini. Close enough to remember, different enough to avoid suspicion. He has a plan: get to Constantinople, the Ottoman capital, the furthest edge of the known world. Lorenzo's influence doesn't reach there. The Medicis are Christian bankers. The Ottomans are Muslim conquerors. No relationship, No leverage. Baroncelli will be safe. He pays the ship's captain 20 florins for passage to Ragusa, a neutral port city on the Dalmatian coast. From there, he'll find another ship to Constantinople. The captain takes the money without questions. But the captain also notices something. The passenger's hands shake when he pays. His eyes dart constantly toward the horizon. He flinches at loud noises. This is a man running from something. The captain doesn't care, but he remembers. 2 weeks later, when a Medici agent in Venice starts asking questions about passengers heading east, the captain describes a nervous man with a beard, paid in Florentine gold, heading to Ragusa. The network is working. Information travels fast. From the Venetian captain to a Medici agent in Venice. From Venice to Portinari in Bruges. From Portinari to Lorenzo in Florence. Within 3 weeks of Baroncelli's departure, Lorenzo knows which direction he's heading. East, toward Ottoman territories. This complicates things. The Medicis have limited influence in the Ottoman Empire. No official branches, no political connections, but they have trade relationships, and Lorenzo is about to leverage every single one of them. July 1478, Bruges, Flanders. Tommaso Portinari reads Lorenzo's latest letter 3 times. The message is clear. Baroncelli is heading to Constantinople. We need Ottoman cooperation. Begin negotiations immediately. Portinari is a banker, not a diplomat. But Lorenzo's instructions leave no room for hesitation. Use any means necessary. Portinari begins methodically. He reaches out to Ottoman merchants who trade with Medici partners. He offers bribes to minor officials who have connections to the Sultan's court. The message he sends is carefully worded. Lorenzo de' Medici seeks a fugitive currently hiding in Ottoman territories, a murderer, a criminal, a man who killed Lorenzo's brother in a church on Easter Sunday. The Medicis are willing to compensate generously for assistance. How generously? 300 ducats cash, exclusive trade rights for Medici merchants in 3 Ottoman ports, a shipment of 200 Milanese arquebuses, modern firearms, and a promise to use Medici influence to block papal calls for a new crusade against Ottoman territories. It's a staggering offer, the kind of offer that gets attention at the highest levels. The information begins moving through Ottoman channels, from merchants to minor officials, from minor officials to viziers, from viziers to the Sultan's court. It takes months, but eventually, the question reaches Sultan Mehmed II himself. Mehmed II is 50 years old. He conquered Constantinople 25 years ago, ending the Byzantine Empire. He's one of the most powerful rulers in the world. He doesn't care about one Italian fugitive, but he cares about leverage. If the Medicis owe him a favor, that's useful. If he can get modern weapons, trade concessions, and political support, that's even better. He sends word through his intermediaries. Tell the Medicis we are interested. Provide details about the fugitive. Lorenzo receives this message in October 1478, 6 months after Giuliano's death. He writes back, immediately. The fugitive's name is Bernardo Baroncelli, age approximately 35, Florentine, gambler, speaks Italian and some Greek, may be working as a translator or merchant assistant. And Lorenzo adds one more thing. This man murdered my brother. If the Sultan delivers him to me, the Medici family will be in his debt, and Medici debts are always repaid. The negotiation continues through the winter of 1478 and into early 1479. Letters, messengers, intermediaries. Slowly, carefully, a deal takes shape. September 1478. Constantinople. Baroncelli has been in the city for 2 months. He lives in a small room in the Galata district, the European quarter across the Golden Horn from the main city. He works as a translator for Italian merchants doing business with Ottoman traders. His Italian is native. His Greek is passable. His Turkish is improving. He keeps his head down, uses his false name, avoids other Florentines. For the first time in months, he starts to relax. Constantinople is massive. Over 100,000 people, a labyrinth of streets, mosques, bazaars, and palaces. The Sultan, Mehmed II, conquered the city 25 years ago. Now it's the heart of the Ottoman world. And Lorenzo de' Medici has no power here. Baroncelli begins to believe he's safe. He even starts gambling again. Small games, dice, cards. He wins sometimes, loses more often. Old habits return. He makes friends, other Italian expatriates, Greek merchants, even some Ottoman traders who appreciate his language skills. He starts to build a life, not the life he had in Florence, but a life. What he doesn't know is that 3 separate Medici informants are already in Constantinople. They don't know each other. They work independently. But they're all looking for the same man. A Florentine fugitive, around 35 years old, speaks Italian, gambles, works with merchants. The net is tightening, and Baroncelli has no idea. December 1478, Florence. Lorenzo receives a letter from a Venetian trader named Marco Donato. Donato has business contacts in Constantinople. He heard about the reward through the Medici network. A man matching your description was seen in the Galata district. Goes by the name Bandini. Works as a translator. Gambles at a tavern near the harbor on Thursday nights. Tall, bearded, Tuscan accent. Lorenzo reads the letter twice. Then he writes to Portinari. Confirmed. Constantinople. Galata district. Accelerate negotiations with Ottoman officials immediately. I want him before spring. The diplomatic pressure increases. Medici agents in Constantinople begin making discreet inquiries. Not directly approaching Baroncelli, just confirming he's there, watching, waiting. Meanwhile, the negotiations with the Sultan's court continue. By February 1479, the deal is almost complete. The Sultan will allow Medici agents to arrest Baroncelli. He'll provide Ottoman guards to assist, and he'll ensure the fugitive is transported safely to Venetian territory for extradition to Florence. In exchange, the Medicis will deliver everything promised: money, weapons, trade rights, political support. It's the most expensive arrest in history, and Lorenzo doesn't hesitate for a second. Agreed, he writes. Proceed with capture. April 1479. Constantinople. Baroncelli notices that people are watching him. At first he thinks it's paranoia, the guilt, the nightmares, the constant fear. But then he sees the same faces. In the market. Near. His room. Outside the tavern. Different people. But always watching. He's being followed. Baroncelli panics. He moves to a different district. Changes taverns. Stops gambling. He grows his beard longer, wears different clothes, avoids speaking Italian in public. For a month, he thinks he's lost them. He hasn't. Because the Watchers aren't just Medici agents anymore. They're Ottoman officials, working with the Medicis. And they're not trying to hide. They're waiting for orders. In May 1479, those orders arrive. Sultan Mehmed II has accepted the Medici offer. Arrest Bernardo Baroncelli, deliver him to the Venetian consul in Constantinople. The Venetians will transport him to Venice. From Venice, overland to Florence. The capture is scheduled for August. Why the delay? The Medicis are arranging logistics, ships, guards, diplomatic clearances, and Lorenzo wants time to prepare Florence. He wants the execution to be public, spectacular. A message to anyone who might consider crossing the Medicis in the future. So Baroncelli gets 4 more months of freedom. 4 more months of not knowing that his fate is already sealed. August 14th, 1479. Constantinople. 8 in the evening. Baroncelli is leaving the tavern when he notices the street is empty. Too empty. It's evening. The streets should be crowded. Merchants closing shops, people heading home. But there's no one. Just silence. He turns around. 6 Ottoman guards block the doorway behind him. Baroncelli's hand moves toward the knife at his belt. "Don't," one of the guards says in accented Italian. "They're not here to kill him. They're here to arrest him." Baroncelli tries to run. He makes it exactly 10 steps before they tackle him. He fights, hard, breaks one guard's nose with his elbow, bites another's hand. But there are 6 of them, and 1 of him, and they're professional soldiers. Within a minute, Baroncelli is face down in the dirt, hands bound behind his back with rope. They drag him to his feet. "Bernardo Baroncelli of Florence," the lead guard says formally. "You are wanted for murder. The Sultan has agreed to your extradition to the Republic of Florence." Baroncelli's blood goes cold. "No," he whispers. "No, you can't. I'm under Ottoman protection." "The Sultan has revoked your protection," the guard continues. "The Medici family has made a generous offer. 300 ducats, trade concessions, military equipment. The Sultan finds these terms acceptable." Baroncelli realizes in that moment what this means. Lorenzo found him. Not just found him, bought him. Convinced an Ottoman sultan to betray one of his own residents. The Medici reach is that long. The Medici money is that powerful. Baroncelli is dragged through the streets of Constantinople to a prison cell beneath the Sultan's palace. He'll stay there for 3 months, while the diplomatic arrangements are finalized and transportation is arranged. During those months, Baroncelli writes letters to his family in Florence, to old friends, to anyone who might have influence. He even writes to Lorenzo himself, begging for mercy. He admits his guilt, claims he was forced by the pazzis, says he regrets everything, offers to testify against anyone still alive who was involved in the conspiracy. He writes, "My Lord Lorenzo, I beg your forgiveness. I was a desperate man. I had debts. The pazzis offered me money. I didn't want to kill, but they threatened my family. They said if I didn't help, they would kill me. I am guilty. I know this, but I am also human, and I am sorry. Please, mercy." Lorenzo receives the letter in September. He reads it once, then throws it into the fireplace. No response, no mercy, no forgiveness. Giuliano is still dead, and someone must pay. This story is about to reach its brutal conclusion, but before we get there, I need to tell you something. If you've been following along up to this point and you're as fascinated by this chase as I am, do me a favor and share this video. Send it to that friend who loves history, true crime, or just incredibly well-documented revenge stories. Help spread these amazing historical narratives that deserve to be known. And I genuinely want to hear from you in the comments. Put yourself in Baroncelli's shoes for a second. Would you have kept running? Would you have tried to negotiate with Lorenzo earlier? Would you have turned yourself in and begged for mercy? Or would you have done something completely different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love seeing your perspectives on these historical dilemmas. All right, now let's get to November 1479, when Baroncelli arrives back in Florence after 16 months on the run and faces the consequences of what he did on that Easter Sunday. November 1479. Constantinople to Venice. Baroncelli is loaded onto a Venetian merchant galley in chains. Heavy iron manacles on his wrists and ankles. A chain connecting them to a bolt in the ship's hold. He can barely move. The voyage from Constantinople to Venice takes 3 weeks. Baroncelli spends it in darkness. Below deck, fed once a day, given water twice. He's treated like cargo, because that's what he is, 300 ducat cargo. When the ship arrives in Venice, Baroncelli is transferred to a prison wagon. From Venice to Florence is 250 kilometers, 5 days of travel by road. Armed guards escort the wagon. Venetian soldiers hired by the Medicis. They don't speak to him. They don't acknowledge him. He's already dead. They're just transporting a corpse. As the wagon approaches Florence, Baroncelli can see the walls of the city in the distance. The dome of the cathedral rises above everything else. The same cathedral where he stabbed Giuliano de' Medici 19 months ago. The same cathedral where his life ended, even though his body kept moving. Now his body is about to catch up with his fate. December 28th, 1479. Florence. Bernardo Baroncelli arrives in chains. When the wagon enters through the city gates, people line the streets, hundreds of them. They don't cheer, they don't boo, they just stare, silent, cold. This is the man who killed Giuliano, the last conspirator, the one who got away. Except he didn't. Women hold their children closer as the wagon passes. Men spit on the ground. Some cross themselves. Baroncelli keeps his eyes down. He knows what's coming. The wagon stops at the Bargello prison. Baroncelli is dragged inside and thrown into a cell. He'll spend one night there. His last night alive. Lorenzo de' Medici doesn't visit, doesn't speak to him, doesn't acknowledge his existence. But Lorenzo makes sure Baroncelli knows he's being watched. A guard tells him, "Lorenzo de' Medici wants you to know he kept his promise. He said he'd find you, and he did." Baroncelli doesn't respond. What can he say? December 29th, 1479. Dawn. Baroncelli is awoken at sunrise. Today is the day. He's given water, a piece of bread, permission to wash his face. Then, he's brought to the Piazza della Signoria. Thousands of people are already waiting. The square is packed. Every window overlooking the piazza is filled with faces. People have climbed onto rooftops to watch. The scaffold is ready. Same scaffold where Francesco de' Pazzi was hanged. Same scaffold where Archbishop Salviati was hanged. Same scaffold where over 80 conspirators died in the weeks after the assassination. Now it's Baroncelli's turn. Lorenzo de' Medici watches from a balcony, overlooking the square. He's dressed in black. His face is expressionless. He doesn't look angry. He doesn't look satisfied. He just looks tired. Tired of grief. Tired of revenge. Tired of everything that's happened since that Easter Sunday. But he's here. Because he promised Giuliano he would be. Baroncelli is led up the scaffold steps. His legs are shaking. He can barely stand. A priest offers him last rites. Baroncelli accepts. He confesses his sins, asks God for forgiveness. Then he's given a chance to speak to the crowd. His voice is barely above a whisper at first, then louder. "I killed an innocent man," Baroncelli says. "His name was Giuliano de' Medici. He was 25 years old. He was kind, generous, loved by everyone who knew him." He pauses, tears running down his face. "I killed him for money. I was paid by the Pazzis, 200 florins. That's what Giuliano's life was worth to me. 200 florins." The crowd is silent. "I thought I could run," Baroncelli continues. "I thought I could hide. I went to Constantinople, 5,000 kilometers from here, the furthest place I could imagine." He looks up at Lorenzo. "But Lorenzo de' Medici found me. He sent agents across Europe. He paid informants. He negotiated with a sultan. He spent more money finding me than the Pazzis paid me to kill his brother." Baroncelli's voice breaks. "I deserve to die, I know that. But I want everyone here to understand something. You cannot run from the Medicis. You cannot hide. Their reach is infinite, their memory is perfect, and they always collect their debts." He turns to the executioner. "I'm ready." The crowd begins chanting. "Palle, palle, palle!" The Medici cry, louder and louder until the entire piazza is roaring. The executioner places the noose around Baroncelli's neck, and at exactly 9:30 in the morning, December 29th, 1479, Bernardo Baroncelli is hanged. His body jerks once, twice, then goes still. The crowd erupts, cheering, screaming, celebrating. Justice has been done. Giuliano de' Medici has been avenged, and Lorenzo de' Medici's promise has been fulfilled. Baroncelli's body is left hanging in the piazza for 3 days. A warning, a reminder, a message to anyone who might consider crossing the Medicis in the future. You can run 5,000 kilometers. You can change your name, your face, your life. You can hide in the most distant city in the world, and they will still find you. We're reaching the conclusion of this incredible true story, but before we wrap up, one final thing. If you've made it this far and you're not subscribed yet, now is the moment. Seriously, click that subscribe button right now, because I make deep dives exactly like this one every single week. Renaissance assassinations, medieval conspiracies, political intrigue, revenge stories that span continents. If this is the kind of content you want to see more of, subscribing ensures you never miss an episode. And next week's video, it's going to be even more intense than this one. I'm covering the story of the Borgia family's rise to power. Pope Alexander VI, Cesare Borgia, Lucrezia Borgia, poison, murder, incest accusations, political manipulation at the highest levels of the Catholic Church. It's a story that makes the Medicis look merciful by comparison. You absolutely don't want to miss it. Now, let me bring this all together and show you why this manhunt changed European politics forever. So let's return to that moment in Constantinople. August 14th, 1479. Baroncelli wakes up with a blade at his throat. He's been running for 16 months, 5,000 kilometers, 3 countries, new names, new faces, new lives. And in that moment, he realizes the truth. It was all pointless. Because Lorenzo de' Medici doesn't just have wealth. He has reach. The Medici banking network spans Europe. Every port, every market, every customs house has someone who needs Medici money. And when Lorenzo offers 300 ducats, people listen. When he offers trade concessions, sultans cooperate. When he makes a promise, the world bends to make it happen. Baroncelli's mistake wasn't running to Constantinople. His mistake was thinking anywhere was far enough. His mistake was believing that borders meant something to the Medicis. His mistake was not understanding that in the Renaissance, money was more powerful than armies, and the Medici Bank was the most powerful financial institution in Europe. The immediate consequences of the manhunt are obvious. Baroncelli dies. Lorenzo's revenge is complete. The Pazzi conspiracy is fully avenged. But the long-term implications are far more significant. Because this manhunt sends a message across Europe that echoes for generations. The Medicis are not just bankers. They're a network, a power, a force that transcends borders, languages, religions, and kingdoms. Cross them, and there is no escape. Not in Italy, not in France, not in the Holy Roman Empire, not even in the Ottoman Empire, not anywhere. For the next 100 years, the Medici family will use this reputation ruthlessly. They'll fund wars, crown popes, marry into royalty across Europe. 2 Medici women will become queens of France, Catherine de' Medici and Marie de' Medici. 4 Medicis will become popes, Leo X, Clement VII, Pius IV, Leo XI. The family will produce grand dukes who rule Tuscany for 3 centuries, and everyone will remember. The family that hunted a man across 3 continents for killing one of their own. The family that turned bankers into spies, accountants into agents, and trade networks into intelligence operations. The family that proved money is more powerful than armies. The family that never forgives and never forgets. Lorenzo's manhunt for Baroncelli becomes legendary. It's taught as a case study in power, in determination, in the ruthless application of resources toward a single goal. Historians still debate it today. Was it justice, or was it excessive revenge? Was Lorenzo right to spend thousands of ducats and 18 months hunting one man, or should he have let it go and focused on governing Florence? But those questions miss the point. Lorenzo wasn't just hunting Baroncelli. He was sending a message, and that message was received. loud and clear, across every court, every kingdom, every merchant guild in Europe. The Medici family is untouchable. Cross them, and you will pay, no matter where you are, no matter how long it takes. Today, over 500 years later, historians still study Lorenzo's manhunt. It's taught in intelligence courses as an early example of using economic networks for espionage. It's cited in books about Renaissance politics as proof of Medici power. It's analyzed in business schools as a case study in leveraging global networks. And it's remembered as one of the most complete and successful acts of revenge in recorded history. 18 months, 3 continents, 5,000 kilometers, one promise kept. Lorenzo didn't just want Baroncelli dead. He wanted the world to know that he found him, that the Medicis never forget, that their reach is infinite, that their network spans the known world, and he succeeded. Because when Baroncelli's body was cut down from that scaffold in December 1479, something else died too. The illusion that you could betray the Medicis and survive, the belief that distance meant safety, the idea that there were places beyond their reach. From that day forward, everyone knew. The Medicis are everywhere, the Medicis see everything, and the Medicis always, always collect their debts, in full, with interest, and without mercy. This was the story of the greatest manhunt of the 15th century, the fugitive who almost escaped, the banker who became a spy master, the sultan who accepted a bribe, and the revenge that proved one truth above all others. You cannot outrun power, especially when that power has 40 banking branches, thousands of employees, and an unlimited budget for revenge. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Leave a comment and tell me. If you were Baroncelli, would you have kept running? Or would you have turned yourself in earlier and tried to negotiate? Would you have tried to fight back somehow? I genuinely want to know what you think you would have done. Next week, like I mentioned, we're diving into the Borgia family, Pope Alexander VI and his children, Cesare and Lucrezia. It's a story of poison, political manipulation, and ruthless ambition that makes this story look tame. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you catch it when it drops. Until then, remember, history doesn't just repeat, it hunts. And some hunters never stop. Not until every debt is paid, not until every promise is kept, not until justice or revenge or whatever you want to call it is finally done. Lorenzo de' Medici kept his promise, and Bernardo Baroncelli paid the price, in full.